If I could ask one of the white coats.
Yeah, the white coats.
And whoever, if you'll come up to the mic, that would be helpful. You get an outpatient procedure somewhere, you get a tooth pulled, the dentist or the doctor, the emergency gives you some pain pills to take home, use them as directed. They give you 12, you use 3, you got 9 sitting in a jar, and you say, well, why throw these away? I'm going to keep them in case I have another self-prescribed problem, and maybe I'll take a half, it has nothing to do with addiction, so what would you say to people? Why shouldn't they, a lot of people keep those drugs around in that way? What would you say to those people?
Well, I think the Attorney General pretty much answered the question very well. I mean, it's having drugs hanging around your house in an unsecured environment, there's so much potential. I mean, your kids, visitors' kids that your kids are playing with. I mean, it's just very high possibilities that something bad is going to happen. So, April 28th, you can take them back.
As far as the overall problem with prescription drugs, how does these pills that are sitting around in people's homes compare as part of the problem compared to things that are inappropriately prescribed by pill mill doctors or as such? I mean, do you have sort of a comparison or figure how much of it?
I'm going to let you. Thank you. You're a full-fledged doctor. Next time you won't be able to. I'm going to put you up here, Elizabeth, so do that. Look, I think these are all just different. They're different problems, but they're the same related problems. I think part of it is education and kind of changing our culture. Part of the problem with prescription drugs and what makes them a different challenge for law enforcement, I think a different challenge as far as an education point of view, is that they were originally prescribed by a doctor. And in many cases prescribed for a very legitimate reason and prescribed correctly. And because of that, these prescription drugs are not viewed in the same way as illicit drugs. And I think part of our message today is that these drugs can be just as dangerous as illicit drugs if they're used incorrectly. And they can be horribly addictive. And they can kill people. And so part of this all is about the culture. And it's about being more careful with these drugs. And there's no one I hope no one wants to deny people who are in pain prescription drugs that help alleviate the pain. We don't want to go back to the time when that was underprescribed. But people need to understand, we all need to understand, that just because it's prescribed does not mean it can't kill you. It can still kill you. And that's part of the message. It's part of the message we have to people who, have these drugs in their home and never would think in the wildest dreams of using them incorrectly or would ever think of giving them to somebody or selling them to somebody. But the mere fact they have them in their home presents a risk. And we want them to eliminate that risk, a risk to other people.
What's the problem with flushing these down the toilet or
I'll let the experts talk about that. How about the DEA on that?
Ken Atchison from the Drug Enforcement Administration. Ken Atchison from the Drug Enforcement Administration. The question being, why not just flushing down the toilet? We're always trying to do it the best way, and we deal with a lot of the environmental concerns, the EPA and the like, basically the consensus is that collection and burning them through a EPA-approved incinerator is the best way to do it. Flushing them down the toilet, when certain drugs, antibiotics and the like, show up in water samples. And we're trying to accomplish two things: get rid of the drugs and not pollute the water table all at the same time. So when we destroy them, we take them to a EPA-certified incinerator, and they're destroyed in the most effective manner that we can.
But But there have been opportunities, there have been times when these have actually shown up, you've got trace of that in drinking water.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is enough to scare anyone.